we can deep dive into everything I've said controversial. Right. So that's what you see in the videos is me naturally, like how I would speak to my friends and how my friends would speak to me, and that's like how we've always grown up. And you take it with a grain of salt. It's like it's endearing. It's like how we show affection for each other. It's like it's always meant to be like light-hearted. Like it's never meant to be. I mean, I don't want to like make people cry or anything
Vicious.
like that, or really upset people and stuff like that. It's always meant to be light-hearted. And like with the news, that gave me a chance to like throw a few jokes in there, like things I thought were obvious, or like things that I would chat about in like WhatsApp groups and stuff, like which I thought was, that's just like that's fine, that's par for the course. Nobody's going to be offended by that. And then a certain skater, I won't reveal his name because he probably doesn't want to be mentioned, but we were just talking about trick violations, and he was like, "Oh, I think like you're the person to do the video." And I had it in the back of my mind, and I was like, I was concerned though because I was like, I have to use other people's footage like for this. It was like, how the hell am I going to do this? So I tried to keep it. I tried to make it as like obviously stupid and silly as possible. And like the first thing I did was like, I was like, well, if I'm going to throw everybody else under the bus, I'll put myself in first. So the first trick in trick violations, and this probably goes towards people wondering if I skate or not. The first trick in trick violations is me. Like I'm the first violation, and it's like me. I'm trying to do like some dark side alley top acid, and I totally roll it. So that's the first trick in there. And then I was like, right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to frame it so you basically can't see anybody's faces. You can just see the tricks, make it more about the tricks than it is the person. And yeah, I think it came across pretty good. I was pretty impressed with it. I think only one person got that offended at the time. And then I spoke to them and they understood. They kind of mellowed down and then, well, they actually went mental at me, if I'm honest. They went mental at me. And then a couple of weeks later, they sent another message and then sent another message apologising because they got the gist of it. And I know there's definitely a few other skaters who are annoyed, but when they've spoken to me, they're like, "Oh, okay, I get it." Or somebody has explained like my sense of humour to them and been like, "He doesn't mean anything by it at all. Like he's not trying to like." I don't know. He's not trying to make you quit skating or anything like that, and etc. But yeah, and that went down quite well. And then I don't know. I just give my opinions because it would be boring otherwise. Like, what's the point of me doing it if I don't give you my opinions on things? I think like if I do have any like critical opinion, I like to think that I base it on some sort of not so much evidence, but some sort of reason. Like I don't just go, that guy's shit or this product's crap. I go, oh, this is the reason or that's the reason, and then throw a joke up there so it smooths it over a little bit. And like some people get offended, which is a shame because that's not really my intention. And some people get it. It's like when so I made a big thing. It was almost like a comedy routine about USD's not pro. No, what was it? Unpro. That unpro marketing thing they did. So I made a fair few jokes about that. And then when I bumped into Matthias, he absolutely loved it. He thought it was really funny. He was like, that's amazing. Like, I think he actually said it wasn't his idea and he didn't like it anyway. So he was loving that. I took the piss out of it. But like, that's what I want. Like that's that kind of what I hope happens basically. And there's a few other skaters that have been like, yeah, we love it. Like, I think it's really funny that you are the way you are. Was there any specific ones you want me to address?
I think. Well, no, I think it's really good. Like, and I think it's cool that it's like you said, like unbiased in terms of like the individual and more focused around like the idea of whatever it's going after, whether it be the trick, kind of leaving it open to everyone. Because I think, you know, I think almost everyone in blading you can find some sort of violation on. Some are much harder than others that do a very diligent job. Like, it'd be hard to find something of Alex Broskow maybe, but he has earlier footage you could go. I think everyone has something because especially people who have spent a lot of time in front of the camera. But
yeah,
I think it's important for someone to take that stance, because a lot of the time in blading, it's like, because we have such a small community, it's like such a love fest. And I'm
Mm,
not sure if like the love fest model really pushes the growth of the industry. Like, for example, maybe like in the 90s, or like the early 2000s and late 90s, it was like very competitive, and it was also like weirdly so, just to bring this up, like it was like right around when like Tupac and Biggie had their thing going on, and like people on the West Coast blading, people were like, somehow that was dragged into blading, but like in a friendly way. Like, we weren't gonna, like, no one's gonna hurt each other, but it was always like, oh yeah, like New York versus California, like Rawlinson is a sellout, he went to the West Coast, like it was like things like that. And I feel like that competitive nature, or like maybe even that like lighthearted critical nature, did things to like
mm,
help push like the spirit of rollerblading to be like, oh, I want to be better, I want to kind of check those boxes and mark those things off. So in my opinion, I don't see it as a harmful thing, I see it as a good thing. And
mm.
but I think sometimes when you have that, the taking the position to be truthful and honest and film it and put it on the internet, you're gonna find pushback.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, I definitely don't expect to put videos out and say all the stuff I'm saying, and everybody just go, "Bravo, mate, you're bang on." I expect people to go, "Who is this fucking clown? Like, where's his edit?" But like, it's how you. Sorry, you go.
No, I was gonna say, have you tried to like shut up the haters? Are you gonna like film something to shut people up, or like any kind of rebuttal or anything?
No, no, they can suck it. They can wait. No, yeah, that like, the whole reason why I put myself first in the video was to say that like I'm not. I don't care if you take the piss out of my tricks, because I miss stuff all the time as well, and that was to set a very clear tone and a very clear intention of what was meant to, like, what the video was meant to be about. It's like I'm not gonna like go up to a kid in real life and be like, "What are you doing, you mug? Like, look at the gap between like your 2 feet." There's ways to do it, and like, that's why I made that video like super
Right.
light-hearted, because and that's why I tried to crop people's faces out of it so they didn't get like wound up and stuff like that. But yeah, it is, and I think it is important. Like, rollerblading means different things to different people. Obviously, there's people who just do want to muck around and like do whatever, and like that's great. Like, rollerblading needs people like that, but rollerblading also has a competitive side. It's like we can't be like IMYTA is like banging and amazing, but then be like, oh yeah, you can do these tricks however you want because it doesn't matter. It's like, well, hold on, there's a confusing message here. It's like, you have a competitive side. Let's celebrate that. And like, yeah, it's like, it's not so much that there's rules. It's just guidance on how to like make a trick look good. And we've all agreed that like a top side should be flat and not rolling on your wheels. And that's like, that's it. Like, you've just got to do it flat. Otherwise, it's a different trick. Just call it something else if you really want to. But like, I think it's important to have like those standards, because then how do you know who's doing well? Or like, say if a kid's like, I want to get good at rollerblading, how does he know he's getting good if there's no standards? Like, where's his measure? He was like, oh, I've been doing this for a year now. Like, am I pro yet? I'm like, no, well, no. Here's a little guidance of what you should be doing to get to that level. I know I've probably explained that in the most like dumbass way, but I think you get what I mean.